the show.
Well, you're live, so you should talk about it.
I should know the name of the show before I go on it. That's what you're
Well,
telling
we're gonna know in a second. We're sorry, guys, audience. We need to check with our producer.
We've
before
never had working audio on this show since its inception.
Yeah, remember when Dan McKnight gave all that wonderful information and none of it was heard by anybody?
Except for recorded. It was recorded.
Was it?
It was
we
recorded.
should really upload that.
Yeah, we should.
it. Maybe kind of sorta.
Did our lovely producer produce? Do we know if our audience can hear Pryce?
It's not. You skipped Pryce.
We skipped Pryce.
Oh no!
How did
Pryce, say something.
Pryce
Can you
talk?
hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
said,
It's
"Can
like
you
we're
hear me
doing a
now?"
Verizon ad here.
All right.
Yeah.
It looks like we can hear Pryce. And guess what, folks? That kind of spoils our surprise. Our guest today is Pryce Robinson, who is the former chair of Boise State College Republicans. He also has a longer resume, which I'll let him introduce. It's been a while since we've been on the show. We're going to rebrand. We're not just And Coffee Politics anymore. We're going to become Idaho's podcast. And you'll notice our lovely new studio.
It really looks like we're straight from Idaho.
Yeah. Well, it's a special part of Idaho.
Yeah.
Not that all of Idaho isn't special. But anyway, I'm your host, Ben Chaffetz, and this is my co-host,
John?
it's a pleasure to be back. We're really excited. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. It looks like Pryce has difficulty maintaining his video.
Sorry, I was getting another call. I had to hit the decline button.
Yes, ignore all other calls. They are not important.
Exactly. This is where the important conversations are taking place.
Sure.
I have 100% of my attention on you.
Yeah, I love it. We are going to upload to Rumble because YouTube sucks. So Pryce, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll start the show.
Well, Ben, John, thank you so much for having me. My name is Pryce Robinson. I am, as Ben said, the former chair of the Boise State College Republicans. Graduated from Boise State in 2020. I'm also the co-founder of a nationwide veterans organization called Bring Our Troops Home, where we advocate for bringing the troops home from places like Iraq, Afghanistan, and other unauthorized combat zones across the world. But today I'm excited to be here to talk about the announcement this past week and a half of Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeachin's run to challenge Brad Little for the governorship of the great state of Idaho. So, guys, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited to have you. And just so you guys know, we're not endorsing any particular candidate. We're just here to explore the facts. We want to know who the best conservative candidate is. And by the way, if you weren't already aware, we are conservatives. We are totally out of the closet in that regard, and we're very proud of it. So.
And I would like to say that I'm coming here in an unofficial capacity, just as an excited citizen who is here to spread the word about a candidate who I think is going to do a lot of good in the state.
Fantastic. All right. I know our audience might not be aware, but right now we have two candidates that have officially announced for governor of Idaho. It's Brad Little and Ed Humphreys.
Also, Ammon
Did
Bundy.
I say Brad Little? I meant Janice McGeachin. Did Brad announce?
Brad is not officially announced.
He is not announced. Sorry.
No, but I wasn't saying. I was saying Ammon Bundy is also running.
Ammon Bundy did announce.
Yes, he
He
did.
did announce, but his
I didn't know that.
application was wrong, and he was not registered in the state of Idaho to be able to.
But he can amend that, right?
We believe he's going to amend the process, and he should be in the race.
Gotcha. Now that's interesting. I did not know that he was running.
And the thing about him running is I see that as let's kind of start this off right here actually, because I see that as the biggest challenge to Janice, because I think
Ammon Bundy.
Yes.
I would disagree, John.
All right, now hear me out for a second. Hear me out.
Okay, I'll hear your pitch.
Especially as somebody who's lived in Idaho for a while, been all around Idaho. There's a large libertarian faction in this state, and we obviously know that's very different from conservative. And I think that both Janice and Bundy are both appealing to the libertarian faction. They both are people who base a lot of their agenda on libertarian ideas of freedom from rules, I guess, in a sense. And so I think that they both that they're two competing candidates more than they are competing with, say, Ed or Ed Humphreys or Brad Little, because those are two have shown themselves to be more authoritarian conservatives. So that's my thought on that, and I'm happy to hear why you don't think that's the case.
Well, I think some things that definitely shoot Almond in the foot when it comes to his candidacy are, one, the fact that he marched with BLM protesters. Two, the fact that he has if you look at his past comments and record, that he's been an advocate for open borders. And three, the fact that he's a bit of a man who likes to make a name for himself. And once again, I don't, not saying anything against him personally, but he likes to put his name out there, but there's not a lot of staying power to it. Whenever he's done anything on the national stage or in the state of Idaho, he's kind of a flash in the pan. And so that's why I think looking at someone like Ed Humphreys or, most importantly, Brad Little, those are going to be the two big candidates that we're going to have to go against, that Janice is going to have to go against in order to actually win this thing going into 2022.
So that, I mean, if all that's true, which I have no reason to doubt you, that's pretty much a nail in the coffin for me. I'm going to be honest. I actually, like, from what I've read of Eamon Bundy, I've enjoyed what I've read. I did not read those things, which I would obviously not enjoy. But yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah, and I did see I did see people talking about him with the BLM protesters kind of being a nail in the coffin. I guess more of the point that I was getting at was that they both are competing for libertarian voters, because they both in my opinion,
all of the candidates are going to be competing for libertarian, especially, I mean, independent voters are going to decide this election. So,
well,
I would disagree. Like, once again,
not in the primary. I'm talking the general.
But the general election, for the most part, if you look at Idaho state history and the elections going back the past 20 years, the real slate of candidates that's chosen for statewide office happens in the Republican primary.
Well, I mean, historically maybe, but I think Idaho is changing, unfortunately, and I hope you're right. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think you are.
I think part of the way Idaho is changing is that it's becoming more libertarian and less conservative than it was previously, because a lot of people moving from other states have this impression that Idaho is a state that's all about individual liberty and freedom, and there is some of that involved in our state, but a lot of what our state tries to do is push an actual family first conservative agenda. And what I want to ask from you is how does Janice offer that that kind of platform? Because I want to restrict certain things that go against my conservative values, which Idaho has been pretty effective at doing in the past few months, including abortion and transgenders in women's sports, and obviously mask mandate related thing that just happened today.
Well, today I would say that, a key piece of answering your question is what Lieutenant Governor McGeehan decided to do today, which was, during her brief term as acting governor in the state of Idaho, repealed the mask mandate laws that have been in effect over the past 18 months. And so actually giving localities the opportunity to once again make those decisions.
Has it been 18 months?
Let's see.
I think it was March 2020.
Well, once again, I'm talking about more of the national stage. When did they put them in Idaho? They were.
Well, I don't think Idaho ever had a mask mandate. I know Boise did. Ada County did.
Well, no, if you look at what Governor Little did, is he abdicated the responsibility of his office to make those decisions over to public health boards.
Yes, he did.
State. And then from that point, those public health boards implemented mask mandates in various parts of the state.
Right, but not all counties.
And
correct.
And the executive order that was passed today, just as far as I understand, bans mask mandates. It doesn't just get rid of them; it bans mask mandates
in state operated organizations.
Yes, in government,
all the way down to the public school level.
Right, but not private businesses.
Well, correct, because the government doesn't have the right to tell private businesses whether or not what kind of services they would like them to follow outside of the basic law.
Ideally, but that's not what's been happening for
But
the past
if you're
year.
if you're a private business, you have the right to make that decision yourself.
Ideally.
Well, that's the way it works. Yes.
Well, not in Michigan and not in New York and not in California or.
Yeah, right. Well, once again, in California,
Which, by the way, California sucks. So.
California does suck.
Yeah.
Arguably, I would go as far as to say it's the worst state in the union.
Worse than.
No, I wouldn't say that.
I don't know.
Worse
man.
than New York? Yes.
Well,
I wouldn't quite say.
At least
we can. I tell you what, we'll leave this to our audience as it grows. Which state do you feel is the worst state in the union? And if you lived there, you would move faster than like lightning. Just get out. And conversely, which state would you move to?
From a policy standpoint, though, California does have some real issues. But
yeah.
coming back to Idaho, I'd say to answer your question again, John, through Lieutenant Governor McGeehan's government efficiency task force that she's been operating since she took office, she's been working in that task force to reduce government waste by finding underutilized state buildings and state projects and seeing if they're actually getting a return on their investment or if they're actually serving the community. And if they're not, reallocating those funds towards projects or they're rolling back those spending projects to make sure that we're not wasting Idaho taxpayer dollars. You look at what she's been doing today with her education forum at the State House, where she's standing up for critical race theory and public education. So, I mean, there's a whole host of things that Lieutenant Governor McGeehan has done, obviously with limitations due to her position in the office that she holds, where she has been trying to implement conservative principles moving forward and for the state of Idaho.
So to be clear, she's running on a conservative platform and not a libertarian platform is what I'm understanding from you, because obviously
I don't speak for the campaign.
Well, yeah, I know you don't speak for the campaign, but in your opinion, is she running on a conservative platform or a libertarian?
To be
platform?
fair, that question
on some things and libertarian on others.
That question is a difficult one for anyone to answer, considering drawing that line between libertarian and conservative is actually quite gray.
I would disagree on that.
Okay, then in one sentence define libertarian, and then in one sentence define conservative, because I can't really do it. I the only thing I can really get spot on with libertarian is...
I can define conservative. Okay. It's preserving the values and morals and traditions of your society or country or community, and in order to preserve those types of values, you have to utilize government power. If you
we're kind of going to go down a rabbit hole here, but would you say then that Chinese conservatives are conservative then? Because I mean, they want to ultimately change their country to be free. So that definition doesn't really work.
I wouldn't say they're conservatives. They're libertarians. A lot of libertarians are confused conservatives, or a lot of conservatives are confused libertarians. They don't know what's going on. A lot of libertarians think that.
So you think Eamon Bundy is a confused conservative?
Yeah, I don't think he's a conservative.
Okay.
I don't think a lot of people that you probably think are conservative are actually conservative. But anybody who's not willing to utilize government power to maintain our culture is not a conservative. They're not trying to conserve our society. So that's why I asked this question, because I think this is important, and I think that a lot of Idahoans are there's a huge split in Idaho. Like we all consider ourselves Republican, and like a lot of the state considers ourselves Republican. But there's a huge split here with a group of people who want just to be left alone and just basically want Idaho to be this last little place where they can just be left alone and do whatever they want while the whole society crumbles around them. Or there's another group of people who wants Idaho, and this includes me personally, who wants Idaho to lead conservatives. And I want us to make rules and policies that the rest of the country and the rest of Republican conservative states follow. And I think we've been doing all right with that in the past few months. We led the initiative with our ban on critical race theory, and that's why I think it's a good point that you brought that up about that commission today, because I was watching that, and I thought that was really good. But I want to know what kind of actions are going to be taken on that. I mean, a commission is great and everything. It's fun to sit around and talk like we're doing, but
Well, unfortunately, like I said, within the purview of her position, you only have so much power in terms of what you can actually do. But you can definitely work with. I mean, if you saw, there's members of the state assembly on there, and she's also working with members of the legislature, as well as the governor, to stand up to things like critical race theory, because you need those three branches to come together. You need the judicial branch, you need the legislative branch, and you need the executive branch to all come together and actually form policy that is going to be better for the state of Idaho, and make sure that it's obviously falls in with the legal purviews of what they're allowed to do. But yeah, no. So I mean, standing up for critical race theory is if you go to her website, is one of her key components of her campaign moving forward, and also radically changing the way that Idahoans receive their education. She wants to make major investments in trade schools as opposed to the traditional push towards a 4-year degree. Which, John, I know your brother is in a trade, correct?
Yes, he didn't go to trade school, but he is in a trade, correct?
Yeah, no. So let me ask you a question. So I mean, based on hearing that, I mean, does that make you happy or sad that we're kind of retooling the education system and working towards things like a reinvestment in things like trade schools?
I think that's a really valuable thing. Like I said, the utilizing government and that would be utilizing government to reinvest in trade schools is a good thing in my opinion. It's crucial to conserving something. And if you can if you can take people out of these public education systems, which we're clearly having issues with, I think that is, or out of higher education, I meant to say, that we're clearly having issues with.
Put people on a path that spurs entrepreneurship. I mean, if you're in a trade, regardless of what that trade is, you do your time, you do your apprenticeship, you get your journeyman, and you go down that path of apprenticing under someone, learning the ropes, working at a bigger business to start off, but then you have the opportunity and the skills to then start your own business later on. And so it's giving people the opportunities and the skills to be able to actually pick themselves up and give themselves wages that they actually want because they're allowed to charge for them, versus getting a 4-year degree from Boise State University, being $100,000 in debt, and then working at a barista at Starbucks for $15 an hour.
Or Dutch Bros. I don't think you're going to have to work too hard to convince us of those policies having merit. I think the goal, well, what I would like to see is, why should I vote for Janice over Ed or Brad? I'm not going to lie. I already know why I should vote for Janice over one of those candidates. I'm not going to say which. But I think if you're conservative, you know who I'm talking about. What?
Janice has a proven record. That's why. Janice
does. But, I mean, Trump didn't have a proven record, and Trump is probably the greatest president of my lifetime. So
no, Trump had a record of being a successful businessman.
He had a record in business, but before he got elected, Pryce,
he showed competency over the course of his lifetime as a savvy businessman.
I understand that, but he also showed very high implications of being a Democrat. I won't lie. Right before he got elected, I said on national TV, I don't know if I can vote for him. I definitely won't be voting for Hillary, but I mean, I if he shows me more conservative values, I'll absolutely vote for him. I was terrified of Trump. Trump won me over. So to say, his record is proven, it most certainly was not. So I think that's not really fair.
I would say it's fair. And the reason I'd say that is, once again, if you look at Trump's record going back to at least since he changed his party affiliation and he ran for the, what was the party that he ran for in 2000?
Well, here, let me rephrase. Maybe fair isn't the right word. It's not going to cut ice with me. So saying, oh, she's got a proven record, great. I'm happy that she has a proven record. I'm asking you.
So a proven record of standing up for conservative principles in the state by, one, terming herself out of office when she was in the state legislature, showing her principle there. 2, the only reason she got back into politics was because she was inspired by the Make America Great Again movement, and she really resonated with those principles that Donald Trump was preaching nationwide, and wanted to bring those
Oh,
principles to Idaho.
hang on one second, Pryce. We have a chat.
One of our viewers says Trump was a registered Democrat until 2006.
Trump was a registered Democrat until 2006. I did know that, but I didn't know till what year. So fun fact. And I never wanted to vote for a Democrat.
That's kind of the opposite of a proven track record on Trump's.
Well, it was a record. It just
No, we're
wasn't.
talking about his proven track record in the business world.
Right,
Right,
but
right.
business world does not always translate to politics. I mean, Warren Buffett is a piece of crap and a very
Bill Gates.
Although I don't think Bill Gates is really that savvy of a businessman. But
So Ben, I guess the question is, what are you looking for in terms of credentials then?
it's not about credentials. It's about policies. It's always about policies for me. So if you have the right policies, I'm going to support you. What I want to hear is conservative policies, and I want to hear that you're going to be able to accomplish them. Don't get me wrong, Janice has very much impressed me during her tenure as lieutenant governor. And I won't lie, Ed's kickoff speech was fantastic. The things he was talking about, oh my gosh, like getting rid of state income tax. Hello, what a fantastic thing to say.
Base.
Whether he can do it or not, I don't know. Maybe he can't. Maybe he's totally pathetic and will not be able to accomplish anything. I'm just saying, besides a record, what, and not that I'm trivializing a record. What policy areas does Janice differ from Ed in? I guess is a good way of.
Well, I guess I guess the question is, what policy areas does Ed differ from Janice in, since Janice has been in office and actually executing these policies longer than Ed has?
Well, okay, tell me.
You can't flip it like that.
Well, all right, fine. Well, you just flipped it, but okay. Go ahead. Tell me what policies does Ed differ from her on?
Well, I'm not an expert on Ed Humphreys, so I honestly can't tell you.
Aha. Well, that's okay. I mean, this is very fresh. I mean, they both just announced within the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, past couple
So
weeks.
I mean, that's perfectly reasonable. I would like to know that before I make a decision, right?
Mhm.
So
No, like I said, I think you're talking about two people, and I'm not super familiar with Ed's background. He seems like a nice guy, but also he has lived in the state 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
No, I think he's lived here longer than that.
Hmm.
But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I could check up on that. Lived in the state 4 or 5 years and thinks, okay, I'm going to be governor. And I think Ed would make a fantastic state assembly candidate. I think he would make a fantastic state senate candidate, a place where he could, actually prove himself as being an effective liberty legislator. But if you want someone who has already done that, who has had the experience in those areas working with policy at the state house level, who then retired and then has now had 4 years of experience, 3.5 years of experience at the executive level, then you want someone like Janice McGeehan, someone who knows how to operate in that system, how to effectively push those policies forward, and someone who's not going to be learning with training wheels every step of the way.
Well, and I guess I just kind of disagree on this a little bit, because I think that I don't trust political insiders anymore. I'm more of a guy who trusts political outsiders now. It's come down to that, because I'm starting to see that, like,
well, let me tell you, if you don't think the announcement today by Janice was an indication that she might already be a political outsider, I don't know. I mean, I think that you would be fooling yourself.
I agree. I thought it was a fantastic
It
announcement.
was a bold move, and I support it in every way, shape, or form. But yeah, no. I mean, Janice has been anti-establishment her entire career. She's been a liberty legislator her entire time in the state house. That's what I'm saying.
Mm.
let me ask you something, because I'm just curious. Was she for or against legalization of marijuana before she became lieutenant governor?
She was against it.
She was against legalization of marijuana.
She was for CBD.
Was she for? Oh, she was for CBD. I didn't know that. Was she for or against AR-15s being banned before she was lieutenant governor?
she was against AR-15 being banned.
Okay. Interesting. Because I heard that she actually was. I knew the marijuana thing. As far as AR-15s go, maybe it was bump stocks. Was she for or against banning bump stocks?
I don't know her position on bump stocks.
Okay. Don't get me wrong. Janice has definitely impressed me during her time as tenure as lieutenant governor, but I do recall before she went shooting with Kevin Miller, which much to his credit, he paid for everybody to go shooting at Independence Shooting. She was for banning at least bump stocks. I remember that pretty clearly, but I don't know about AR-15s.
If you could look that up for me and fact check yourself on that, that'd be great.
I would do it if I could. It was she came to the Boise State College Republicans after they went to CPAC in 2017, and
should I be the one to?
Sure.
Look it up?
I don't.
You
I
guys
don't
keep
know
talking.
the answer.
Don't let me
I remember some of the college Republicans telling me that, and I remember having that conversation. But I could be wrong. I'm not stating that it's true or not. I remember hearing that. And I was curious if you knew the answer to that. So that's good. I don't think that she's for that now, but you know, I just something I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, and I mean, you know, here in the state of Idaho, we have some serious challenges as well that need addressing. I mean, if you look at, I mean, this is indicative of a larger problem nationwide, but if you look at in terms of the state of our state's infrastructure, there are some serious holes and flaws and dilapidations in the infrastructure network all around the state of Idaho that need addressing. And I think Idaho has the opportunity to be and this is just me speaking now, off the top of my head. I want a candidate who is going to be working to make Idaho the example rather than the rule when it comes to infrastructure development across the nation. And I'm not talking about Democratic infrastructure spending, where it's like, oh, universal health care, that's infrastructure. No, I'm talking about roads, bridges, airports, telecommunications lines, and electrical grids.
You miss the message though. Everything is infrastructure now.
Yeah, everything is infrastructure.
Yeah,
anything
we want to do. Anything we want to do is infrastructure now. That should be clarified. But anyway,
hyperinflation.
Hyperinflation.
I think we can all agree that Democrats are just totally bummer human beings. At least Democratic politicians.
So I just did a little Googling and just off a 2-second Google, I couldn't find anything related to Janice and bump stocks. So,
okay.
It's possible that she said it in some sort of speech or something that's just not showing up on Google. But
I don't know. I'm not trying to slander her. It's just something that CRs have brought up to me.
Yeah.
And you know, something I wanted to explore. But anyway, what was I saying? Looks like we might have gotten something in the chat. You guys talk for a second.
John, let's talk.
I'll
talk to you any day of the week.
Never mind.
You'll talk to me any day of the week?
Any day of the week.
Let's hear. Here's a question. Why is Janice better than Brad Little?
Well, let me answer that question.
I mean, I know it's a softball. I'm sorry.
To be fair though, it's not so much because Brad Little has been passing, and I think this is intentional, me personally, but he's been passing a lot of conservative agenda items in the past few months.
And Gavin Newsom has been loosening his restrictions in California since his recall. Yeah, big deal in the past few months.
Exactly.
Brad Little announced that we couldn't go camping at the beginning of COVID.
I'm defending your question. I'm saying I still don't think it's a total softball question because I do think he has been showing himself a little bit as a conservative.
I don't know, Pryce. Let's hear your answer. I feel like it's very softball. But
well, no, I mean, when you look at the comparison between the two, I mean, Brad has been entrenched in the establishment of the Republican Party going back 10 to 15 years. So if you want a traditional establishment, Mitt Romney style, balanced budgets, Republican, and once again, John, your point.
I don't.
To your point.
Also, I don't want a John Kasich.
John
Kasich sucks.
Brad Little is doing those things in droves. He's been doing some good stuff when it comes to the budget, but when it comes to liberty, and when it comes to the authoritarian nature that he tried to push the office in, I mean, do you want that as your executive? Do you want that for 4 more years? What if there's another national incident or national emergency? Do you want a governor that's going to protect your rights, or do you want a governor that's going to abdicate his power, and then from that standpoint, abdicate it to an unelected body, whether that be the public health boards across the state of Idaho, whether that be to any other national government organization, or do you want someone who's going to stand up for your rights in the state of Idaho? I personally think that's why Janice is the number one choice. She's going to protect the rights granted to you under the Constitution and the rights granted to you in the Constitution of the state of Idaho.
And to be fair, my political stance is inherently hypocritical. See, I want to be authoritarian with my ideas, with the ideas of conservatism. I don't want them to be authoritarian with liberal ideas, and I think that's a perfectly okay stance. The liberals are happy saying that they want to enforce what they want to on you. I'm happy saying I want to enforce what I want to on you, because I want to preserve and conserve our society and our culture. So obviously I don't endorse, when I was talking about that earlier, I don't endorse Brad Little's failure to protect our rights and our freedoms in that instance.
We are totally going to get banned from Twitch.
It's coming. But for now, we're still here. So, yeah, obviously, I'm when I say authoritarian right. I want to push right wing. I want to push conservative ideas. I'm not happy with what Brad Little did in regards to the pandemic and stuff, especially once we got numbers that showed that it was clearly not at all dangerous to majority of the population. So, yeah, I was just replying to that point. Make sure you think I wasn't authoritarian, right? I'm not like, yeah, Brad Little, mass and COVID lockdowns.
I want someone who can do both. Let me put it that way. I want someone who can both cut government spending and deregulate the state, as well as protect our liberties.
Don't you just wish you lived in Idaho so that your opinion mattered, though?
I do. I do. I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to think of some tough questions for you. Honestly, I'll say this: Janice seems like a very conservative candidate. I would not be upset if she became governor. Video went away. I guess he's trying to hide from us again, or he's getting a phone call.
Got on the phone call.
Very popular man.
Yeah.
Popular man.
I've gotten. I mean, he's not that popular. I've gotten like 3 phone calls, so you know.
Well, I've gotten 0.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I would not be upset if Janice became governor. Okay, but my difficulty is seeing where she differs with Ed. I want to see the policy differences between them, and it looks like I'm going to have to wait a little longer for that, which is okay. But you're not wrong. She does have a record. Ed just seems a little more bullish to me and a little more like angry, and I'm angry. Make no mistake, I'm very upset at how our government has handled the past year, and I never really imagined that I would look back on 2020 fondly, but President Trump was still president. So actually, he still is now in my mind, but the former vice president is pretending to be president. So yeah, take that, YouTube. I don't care. So
wait, let me try one. There was widespread election fraud in the 2020 presidential election.
That affected the election.
Now we're banned.
Yeah, we're gonna be banned.
I just wanted to get that out of the way.
I think you probably need to have more than like 5 viewers in order to be banned, though.
That's true.
I don't know how many viewers.
You need at least 10.
Yeah, can our producer tell us how many viewers we currently have?
Probably not even 5.
Oh wow, we have 40 viewers. That's awesome. Yeah, we totally have 40 viewers, not 4, 40. 40. By the way, like, share, and subscribe so that we can grow our viewer base, and comment. If you want to troll us, we love trolls. They're hilarious. Pryce gets a little sensitive, so don't make too much fun of him. But, anyone else, go for it.
I'm a thick boy with thin skin.
So in this race, I see that I see basically 3 candidates who have ever so slightly different things. I see Brad Little is probably the most establishment out of all of them, obviously. I see Janice is maybe the second most, and I see Ed as the least establishment. And that's how I see
What
it.
about Eamon Bundy?
And that guy, after
I don't know. I mean, Ed is somewhat in the establishment as well. If you look at his position inside the Republican Party currently,
that's
Well, you
fair.
can-
That's fair.
you
I
consider
guess
that
if
part
I
of the
guess if you
establishment?
consider party to be establishment, yeah, I guess.
well, I would say the party is the best place that the establishment actually makes its rules. I would say at the local level, that's where most establishment people get their start. And so Ed, being a member of the Ada County Republicans, you know, in the most liberal county in the entire state. I mean, obviously they're trying to make Ada great again, but I don't know. I mean, I would consider that somewhat establishment.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good point. I'll take that one.
The only chink in that is Ed tried very hard and worked with the Ada County Republicans to shake up the establishment. And that's one of his campaign things is, he views President Trump as a disruptor. And that's the word he uses, is disruptor. And I agree, disrupting the establishment. So, I mean, and that's what he aims to be. Now, I know some people have claimed that, I'm not going to name names, that Ed feels that he is similar to Donald Trump in many ways. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't care. I mean, I do care. If he is similar to Donald Trump, that's awesome. I love Donald Trump. But anyway, neither here nor there. So if he is disrupting the establishment, I mean, I'm 100% for that. I'm not going to lie. So.
And I guess I wanted to bring up another topic. We've talked kind of about the culture thing a little bit. I think that's probably the most important culture. Most important part of conservatism. But I guess Ben kind of brought up a little bit earlier with the income tax.
Some mic feedback on your end?
No. Let's ask our producer.
Wait, are you hearing me twice, or what do you mean?
I'm hearing some fuzz coming through on your end.
Some
From me?
fuzz. Madam producer, do we have fuzz coming through our audio?
Well,
There's a delay, so it's just you. So who cares?
Okay, I'll take it.
yeah, I'm a little fuzzy
Get
at the moment.
headphones.
I'm warm and fuzzy. But let's just talk about the economic policy for a little bit. Obviously, Ed's offering me something I like a lot, which is to say goodbye to income tax. Do you think that's feasible? And do you think, or does Janice offer a something similar or some form of good economic policy that might entice me in another way?
Well, like I said, I'm not part of the campaign, so
Right.
I don't really know what her, she just launched a week and a half ago. I'm sure that they're still getting their policy initiatives off the ground for what they're going to push for moving forward, coming into the next several months. I mean, trust me, I don't get me wrong. When it comes to the idea of no income tax, that's great. I think no one likes to pay income tax, no matter who you are. I don't really know right now on the ground the feasibility of making that happen in the state, and if they have the votes to make it happen. So, once again, that's really all I can say. Is
Yeah, right.
I don't know if they're planning on it or not, but if they are, that's great. And if they're not, I'm sure there's a valid reason for it. So,
do you know if the Democrats have announced somebody yet?
no, I don't actually. I know. What's her name is running for Senate?
Paulette Jordan.
Paulette Jordan.
Is she running against Jim Risch?
I think she might be running against Risch. I mean, she doesn't have a shot.
Cringe.
Good. That's wonderful to hear.
She's a perennial candidate who has run in the past 2 election cycles. She ran for governor in 2018,
And her own staff hated her,
Yeah.
which was fantastic.
But yeah, no, like I said, there's really not a good Democrat or independent on that side of the aisle that anyone
Democrat on that side of the aisle, lest I repeat myself.
Yeah. So yeah, no, not to my knowledge at this point.
Gotcha. Sorry, I I kind of sidetracked us there. I was curious if the Democrats were like doing anything.
They can just not.
Yeah, I'm for them not.
But I guess that
running
also
anybody.
brings up a good question. Listen, another softball for you. I would just throw you a softball. How do you think the general election looks in the state of Idaho?
Well, who's in the general at that point?
Let's just say the best person that the Democrats in Idaho can produce, and Janice. Who's winning?
I think Janice wins. I mean, I think probably you'll see somewhere 60-40, somewhere in that split, because there's going to be some moderate Republicans that are kind of in that Brad Little Rhino camp that would cross over just because they don't like
Neocons.
liberty. Yeah, neocons, things of that nature. But I think it's probably a 60-40 split in Janice's favor. In a
I
general.
hope you're right. I really do. I genuinely...
You know what? I'm gonna revise my answer. 90-10.
Ooh, that's even better.
90-10
dead
Democrats
wrong.
win?
I think there's not
No,
a
90-10
chance.
in favor of Janice.
No.
Okay.
With all the Californians that have been moving here, by the way, I'm marrying one, so I'm allowed to say that. But
Most
I'm allowed to say it
Californians-
anyway. Californians are cringe.
Most of the Californians that are moving to Idaho are Republican, right?
I've heard that.
Do you want to have that? Do you want to have that discussion?
I hope you're right, but I don't.
They're
know that
they're literally fleeing the state in droves because they want to live in a place that's conservative or Republican.
I don't know. I knew this guy Joe Goody. I'm pretty sure he was from California.
Yeah, but he's
And-
from the bad part of California.
Yeah, well.
I just want to say one thing on this topic. All right, I just want to say one thing. A California Republican is an Idaho Democrat.
That's not true, John.
Yeah,
that
that's
is true.
Paulette
John,
Jordan is an Idaho
All right,
Democrat.
John,
all right, all right.
I'm a California Republican.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question then.
Okay.
Bryce. Are you in favor of banning all abortion?
Ooh.
Banning all abortion.
All abortion. And that's a stance that Idaho is pretty
but
strong about.
The thing is, there
Idaho-
are some Idaho Republicans.
Even at the risk of the life of the mother.
Well,
Okay. Hold on a second.
Let's take
that. Wait. I hate when people bring this up. This is 1% of all abortion cases. It is such a non-plus argument.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Oh my gosh.
So I want to say this one thing on that. Let's just take life of the mother. Throw that out. Are you for banning all abortions? There is no abortions, no matter how poor you are, no matter what caused the pregnancy. You're acknowledging, because that particular case you brought up is a life versus a life. So that's kind of like something. That's a whole philosophy discussion you could have, I feel like. But when we're just talking about saving a human life, where do you stand on that? Because
once again, when it comes to that, I mean, one, the Supreme Court's already made the decision in that case.
Actually, they're revisiting it.
I know
but-
they're revisiting it. We'll see what they said, but there's really nothing the state can do at the state level that wouldn't immediately get tied up into a court case.
Oh, well, I mean, we just did, but it's gonna get immediately tied up in a court case.
In a court case, exactly.
But we could
So it's
possibly
kind of a
we could possibly
moot
win it,
point.
because
If we
now
want to
you
talk
have.
about something that could actually happen in the state of Idaho, let's have that conversation.
You see, the thing is that we have the potential to win said court case, though. But
I know.
anyway.
And once again, once if that happens, then we can have that conversation. But as it currently stands,
and I'm just asking you that because I think that a lot of Californians see conservatism as different than Idahoans see conservatism, and I think that me and you have had this discussion just between me and you in the past, but a lot of the way that that's why I was talking about earlier about the libertarian camp. I don't think that a lot of them realize that they're actually libertarians, and libertarianism is closer to liberalism. Obviously, liberalism is all about individual liberty, absolute individual liberty. Individual can do whatever they want, right? And libertarianism has kind of the same premise as liberalism, is that individual can do whatever they want. So a lot of Idaho conservatives want to ban stuff. We're not like, hey, let's just make marijuana legal. Everybody can go out and smoke because that's their choice. Hey, let's just make abortion legal because that's the choice that you get to make. Hey, we're not like that. And a lot of a lot of Californians see us that way. They see us as like, oh, those guys just want freedom over there in that camp. They want to be able to smoke weed if you want to and stuff. And that's why a lot of like the Idaho or Californian Republicans get confused, because they come to the state of Idaho and they're like, why you guys have marijuana banned? And it's like, because we're conservative. We want to conserve our culture. We don't want people doing whatever they want. So that's why I posit that argument. That was a long tangent, but that's why I always posit that Californians don't understand what conservatism means a lot of the times when they come to our states, and that's why a lot of Idahoans get pretty angry, because they see it much differently.
There's also a large contingent of natural-born Democrats in Idaho. You know that, though, too, John.
Natural-born Democrats, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think that oftentimes comes with farming, because there's a lot of subsidies and stuff. I guess maybe more so in the Midwest, but there's a lot of subsidies, and so they like those subsidies. They want to keep them. but yeah, no, there is natural-born Democrats here. Our Democrats are pretty moderate, though. They're not.
Oh, they are, 100%. I mean, it's not. I would, to your point, I would say a lot of Idaho Democrats would classify as an East Coast Republican in a lot of ways.
Yes, and that's how I also feel about Californians coming to Idaho. I feel like they're an Idaho Democrat.
No, but here's the thing: a lot of the Californians who are moving to Idaho, in a lot of cases, are simply there because they don't want to live under the tyrannical dictatorship of liberalism that the state of California has created.
Wait, you're saying Gavin Newsom is a tyrannical...
I would say that the state coming to your house or your business and shutting off your water and power for operating during the coronavirus classifies them as being tyrannical.
No, that's just for your safety. You can't criticize that, Pryce.
That's great and wonderfonderful, but...
Is it great and
wonderful that they're coming here for that?
Oh.
Okay. But they also have to understand that we're going to have some different rules. That just because you're not escaping to a place with no rules, you're escaping to a place with different rules. And
110%. I think that you are lumping every single Californian.
Oh, absolutely, I am. You guys are all in the same pot.
Every single Californian into we're not all the same. I
kid.
That in reality, I think, like I said, most of them are there to raise a family, build a quality life, and contribute back into the Idaho economy and society.
Well, if I see Boise switching trends from shifting blue, which it is right now, to shifting red, then I'll believe that the majority of them coming here are coming to vote Republican. But until that, then as long as Boise,
if you look at the suburbs, though, if you look at Ada, Meridian, or not Ada, if you look at Meridian, Eagle, Kuna, pardon me.
Oh my
Kuna,
goodness.
Kootenai, no. Ada, God, I can't talk. My tetanus shot is just slowly taking over me the entire interview. But no, if you look at those suburbs, though, some of the strongest Republican parties in Ada County are in those areas with the fastest growth.
I'll have to take your word for that. I don't know what source
you're
using.
If you look at the Eagle Republican Party, which is where Ed Humphreys gets a lot of his support from, that is one of the most just out there parties. I mean, they're going out there, they're making it happen. They're going door to door.
Are they primarily California transplants?
That's what I was just gonna say, because
Eagle's a massive area where people from California are moving in. Because
I'm pretty sure that what's happening is and I could be wrong on this, and maybe we have to do some more numbers research. You know, this is why I used to like to have the laptop here. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that the majority of people that are causing Eagle, Meridian, and those other places to grow are actually displaced Idahoans who can no longer afford to live in the Boise area.
All right, we're getting a little off topic here.
Meridian had a population of 9. It was either Meridian or Star had a population of 90,000 or 9,000 in 1990, and they just came over the 100,000 mark.
It's probably Star.
Yeah, I think it's Star. So I mean, those aren't all Idahoans that are coming over.
Okay.
So I'm gonna bring us back to our main topic. Not that this isn't a fascinating point of discord between you two.
John just has anti-California bigotry on his mind, and it's
Well-
okay. And I get it. A lot of Californians are quite insufferable.
I mean, there are some Idahoans that are insufferable. There are people that are insufferable.
Me being one of them.
Well,
to a lot of people.
Whatever. But let me ask
Doesn't
you
even
something.
try to deny it. Doesn't even give him the points. Say, oh no, you're a great guy, Pryce. He
I
just
didn't say
says,
it.
I wouldn't.
Denied.
Price is in my wedding. Why would I
Fair
say
enough,
that
fair
he's
enough.
insufferable? But anyway, so I get a nice employee of the month card for that. I don't get to be criticized for that. But what was I saying? Yeah. So we've got 10 minutes left. I've got a hardball for you. So
Straight to the end.
we
Let's
are
hear it.
going to try and get Ed Humphreys on the show.
Okay.
I don't think he's too opposed to coming on, but I'm not going to speak for him. If you had 3 questions for him to differentiate himself between him and Janice, what would those 3 questions be?
Question number 1 is, knowing the way that this election is going to pan out, which is if there are 2 Liberty candidates in the race, they're going to split the vote, and Brad Little is going to continue to be governor. Given the experience and track record of the lieutenant governor, what do you think would be best? Do you think that you should step away and step aside in order to consolidate and stand up for your principles, to protect liberty in the state of Idaho, and give this election the best possible shot in order to actually get a liberty?
those 2 questions were the same.
into
But
the executive?
Yeah. Is that one question or is that?
You can lump them in. You can fragment it. You can do whatever.
All right. So we'll call that one question then. What are the other 2?
yeah, let's get some policy questions.
Okay, question 2 for policy.
Assuming Ed actually thinks he's going to run and is charging forward, what are the other 2 questions you would ask?
Question 2 would be, how does he actually plan on implementing a no income tax in the state of Idaho?
It's a good question.
That is a good
I like
question.
that.
And step 3, how would the state supplement that budget, that cut in the budget, with a no income tax? Would he cut spending across the board, or would he raise taxes somewhere? Would he implement tolls on Idaho infrastructure, which is what a lot of other states do when it comes to no income tax? If you go to Texas or Florida, every road you drive on is a toll road when it comes to traveling across the state. So is that something he's looking to implement or not?
Okay.
So those would be my 3 questions.
Now I'm just asking this for fun because
Mm-hmm.
why not? What 3 questions would you have for Brad Little?
Why he abdicated his power to the public health boards, and if he could relive that decision, whether he would do the exact same thing or he would change.
Okay, that's 1.
2, question 2 would be, what does he plan to do at the executive level to stand up against critical race theory,
Okay.
especially when it comes to
Good
approving
question.
things like Boise State's budgets in the budget. And 3, let me think about this for a second. 3 would be, how does he plan on making Idaho a nation leader moving forward into the next 4 years if reelected?
Okay. And what would you say are Brad Little's biggest failings as governor?
Oh, I think I've made them abundantly clear. I think, like I said, the abdication of the liberties of Idahoans.
Well, sure, that's a big one. I guess
It's the ultimate failure. I think that makes you
Yeah.
unfit for office, regardless. That's dereliction of duty.
Sure, and I agree with you. I guess I'm kind of fishing a little bit because somebody you and I both mutually know told me something last week, and I can't remember all the details, and I was hoping you would know what it was, but I guess you don't. That's okay. So the abdication of the responsibilities.
You could talk about the way he tried to, push the legislature out of the decision-making process when it came to COVID-19, when they tried to actually pass legislation and come together over the course of the past 6 months. So that's failure number 2. Once again, still trying to destroy the liberties of Idahoans and limit their elected leadership from being able to make decisions on behalf of the public. And 3, Let me think on that. Huh.
Could he have
Yeah,
done
no.
anything with the Stop the Steal movement? Anything with the national election?
That is actually a good point.
Yeah.
That comes to
Although
mind.
that might have
The
been
stop-
more the attorney
I mean,
general.
there's really not much he can do.
He shouldn't have. He should have.
I mean, he could have withheld his electors, but
I mean, that wouldn't have helped.
yeah,
Well, he
exactly. That's about all you can do.
Sure.
Well, yeah, but there was also the Texas lawsuit that he could have.
Yeah.
Could have signed on.
No,
to.
that was the attorney general's failing, not his.
But governors did sign on to it though. But
Mm.
the attorney general, I think the attorney general is the only one who can join the state in on the lawsuit itself. Not
So do
just
we
sign
want to call
onto
that failing number 3?
Yeah, let's throw it in.
All right.
it.
Last question, and then we got to go because we got 5 minutes left. What are the 3 biggest successes of Brad Little in your eyes? Your California eyes.
Libertarian.
You try to discredit my argument, Ben?
No.
No, never. No. Biggest successes? I mean, like I said, in terms of what he was able to do with cutting regulation, making Idaho one of the least regulated states in the entire union, I'd say that's a positive. Like I said, when it comes to his handling of the budget, I mean, I think he's done a pretty good job there overall, and like with the assistance of the lieutenant governor with her government waste committee to actually identify these areas of government waste and then cut those. I think once again, kudos to the governor. And number 3, I seem to be having trouble with number 3, and all these.
He survived COVID.
Exactly. He made it through
Whoa!
COVID.
Kung flu. Sorry.
Let's just think about the last few months of the things he's done. You know.
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, do you want me to actually start listing them off?
If you want to.
So he has he's signed. I guess it's more what he signed into law. He's been successful, but I still see the governor as a leader in that respect. Of course, the abortion thing, the gun thing.
I gotta ask something before we run out of time.
Okay.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think, and this is probably the toughest question I'm going to ask you this whole interview, do you think that Brad Little is going to rescind the legislation that Janice signed today?
Well, the executive order, not the legislation.
But I thought it was legislated and she signed it. No?
No, it's an
No, it's an
executive
executive
order.
order.
Oh, well, then I'm lame. Will he rescind the executive order?
Well, you know, it puts Brad in a little bit between a rock and a hard place.
It does.
Because if you rescind the order, it makes you look horrible because then you're re-implementing a mask mandate that you said you didn't implement in the first place.
Yeah.
But if you keep it in place, you let the lieutenant governor make a key decision about state policy without actually
Right.
asking you.
So what do you
And it
think?
makes her look better.
I don't know. I'm not going to answer that one. I'm going to say time will tell, and
Well, I just want to know your opinion.
I honestly don't know.
You
Yeah.
want to know what my theory is, Ben? I do have a theory.
Sure.
I think he's going to come in, and I think he's going to have his assistants write him up another executive order that's basically the exact same thing. I think he's going to rescind hers and then sign it himself to show that he's the one who did it. That's my theory.
Okay.
Because I think he wants to get the credit for
So
having
you think
done
Brad Little is way more petty than
Yes.
we've articulated
Yes.
in this episode?
Well, I think it's also just a matter of optics. You know how bad it looks that, like, she's the one who had to do that he didn't do that? That looks
that's
horrible.
that's like California. California might finally get a governor with a set between his legs. You know.
Wait. I thought he removed his set.
Did he? I don't think so. Pryce, you would know. You're into all that stuff.
I thought that Caitlyn removed his set.
I don't know.
You know, I don't really pay attention to things like that, but you know, John, you're more than welcome to do the research.
I'd say whether he removed them or not, they're bigger than Gavin Newsom's.
Well, that I will agree with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And with
That's a
that,
good point.
we're going to wrap up. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We will have another show possibly next week,
I'm
but
down for
definitely
one
2
next
weeks
week.
from now. And we're hopefully going to get Ed Humphreys himself and a couple other guests pretty soon. If you'd like somebody else, leave a comment. Shoot us an email. If you would like to email and be on the show yourself, it's andcoffeecontact@gmail.com. And we'd love to have you on our show.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Pryce. It
Yeah.
was
oh,
good
yeah,
talking
Pryce,
with you.
anything you want to close us out with?
I'm just looking forward to see how this race goes. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, next
If
12
anything,
months, right?
that's what it'll be.
Oh, when is the actual date that the
The
election
primary is
happens?
going to be in May. Sometimes the date fluctuates between May 18th, May 22nd, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So about a year.
All right, guys. Don't forget to vote, especially if you're conservative.
Absolutely.
Peace.